This is problem 7-92 from section 7.1.6. So this problem is basically about going from degrees to radians, and a lot of these degrees are related to these special triangles right here, 30, 60, 90, and 45, 45, 90. So all these values right here, if I know a couple of them, I can find the other ones. So we actually kind of did this in class when we were converting originally from degrees to radians. So this should look familiar to you. So what I'm going to do is to go halfway across my circle because I know this is 180 degrees. But I also know that it was pi radians. And we also said all the way around the circle, the entire circumference was 2 pi radians. So this is going to start at 0, and it's going to be 2 pi radians. Alright, so we already know two values so far. I know pi, 180 degrees is going to be worth pi, and 360 is going to be 2 pi. So what we can do is cut the top half into 6 equal pieces. So if I cut 180 into 6 equal pieces, each of these is going to be 30. Okay? So now I can do all of my measurements that are based around 30. 30, 60, 90, 120. I can't really do the 45 and angles that go by that, but I can do these to help me. Okay? So I'm going to cut this also in half down here. Okay, so each of these is worth 30 degrees. And there are 6 pieces on the top. So I know this piece right here is 1/6 of our pi radians. So 30 degrees is going to be pi over 6. Okay, so let's keep everything in terms of our denominator being 6, because that's going to be easier, and then we can simplify from there. So 60 degrees is going to be 2 pi over 6. 90 degrees is 3 pi over 6. The next degree would be 120 degrees is going to be 4 pi over 6. The next would be 30 more degrees is 150 degrees. It would be 5 pi over 6. Now this flat right here, straight across, is 6 pi over 6, or we know that that's also worth pi if you simplify it right away. This next one's going to be 7 pi over 6. We're just adding an extra 6 every time. 8 pi over 6. 9 pi over 6, 10 pi over 6, 11 pi over 6, and the last one would be 12 pi over 6, or also called 2 pi. Okay? So we know all of those, so let's maybe mark those degrees in. And then you can just get that off of this circle and put it in your chart. So 30 degrees is going to be pi over 6. Next will be 60 degrees, 90 degrees, 120 degrees, 150, 180 here, 210, 240, 270, 300, 330, and then we have 360. Okay? So we have all of those radians that we can simplify. So like 2 pi over 6, I can simplify that to pi over 3. So I wouldn't recommend simplifying until you have all of them written down, and then simplify it all, because you can't, if you go from pi over 6 to pi over 3, well then you don't know what's going to be next. It doesn't seem to have an order to it. So those are all the ones that are related to 30, 60, 90 triangles. Okay? If we look at, let's make a second circle here. I want to look at ones that are all related to the 45, 45, 90 triangle. Okay, so I'm going to cut my circle in half. Again, I know this is pi radians. So now I'm going to cut my circle into fourths. The top half into fourths. Because cutting 180 into fourths gives me 45 degree angles. Okay, so this is worth 45. This will be 45, which will make this 90. This is going to make this 135. And I would be back over here at 180. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Cut it into 4 equal pieces. Each of those are worth 45. So I cut my half of my circle into 4 pieces. So it's pi over 4 is going to be 45 degrees. Pi, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, which again, I know simplifies, 5 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, 7 pi over 4, and last this would be 8 pi over 4, which is 2 pi. Okay, so we know those for sure. So we can label these angles, they're going by 45s every time, so that should help you fill in your table. Okay, so let's see, this is going to be, let's continue labeling our angles. So this is going to be 225 right here. This is 270, we already had that one from the other, cutting into 6, but that's okay. It should reduce to the same thing, that's a good way to check. This should be 315, and then that's it. So we have all of our things, all of our angles now in radians. You just need to kind of organize it into your table. So I'd suggest cutting it into 6ths and counting them up there when it's dealing with 30, 60, 90 degrees. So things that are increasing by 30 or 60 degrees each time. And down here, whenever it's going by 45s, or you know, if your answer ends in a 5, then I would cut it into fourths of pieces and read all those and then simplify all of those once you're done.